Hello! Are you guys ready to make some delicious chicken fajita pizza? First thing we're going to do is get our toppings ready. What you're going to do is just cube up some bell peppers, and then you're going to cut some onions into some fine, thin rings. And then what you're going to do is just pop them out one by one, just like that. Alright, now for the chicken fajita. What you're going to do is take 2 chicken breasts and then cut them into small cubes. You're going to want to make sure that they're exactly the same size. That way they cook properly and you don't have one piece that's too big, you don't have one piece that's too small. You got to keep uniform, Once you've cut them, throw them into a bowl and then add a tablespoon of soy sauce, some freshly cracked black pepper, and a pinch of salt. And then we're going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, half a teaspoon of red chili powder, and then just a little bit of oil, and just mix it in together nicely. Get in there, get your hands dirty, and then just put that off to the side. Usually for pizzas you'd have like a nice tomato sauce, but this time we're going to go with the tomato salsa as the base. Take about 9 small tomatoes, or about 5 medium sized, and cut them into small dice. It doesn't have to be uniform, because we're going to blend it all together. Finally, dice half a red onion, and then we're going to move on and get 4 green chilies, chop those up really fine, and a handful of chopped fresh cilantro. And then what you're going to do is just throw it all into a large bowl. And let's make salsa. First thing you're going to do is plop in half a cup of ketchup, a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce, freshly cracked black pepper and salt, sprinkle in about a teaspoon of red chili powder. You can add more if you'd like, and then just give it a nice little mix. And then what I like to do, since it's really chunky right over here, just take a blender and just blend it in. You don't want it to be super fine, you still want to get some chunks of tomatoes and stuff in there. So just like that, and then set that aside. Now we're going to start cooking. Get a saute pan going over medium-high heat and drop your chicken in there. You want to do it in 2 separate batches so that the chicken has a nice amount of time to cook properly and get that beautiful brown color. Just give it a toss around every now and then you see all that juice is coming out. We don't want to throw that out. So what you're going to do is, once it's cooked, take the first batch out, and then just keep the juices in there, and then get another batch going. And then once the second batch is cooked all the way through, add in the first batch. Get that nice and mixed, and then you're going to ladle in about 2 cups of salsa, and then you want it to cook. So what's going to happen over here is the tomato is just going to release all its juices, and the water is just going to come out of it, and then you want it to cook down nicely. You want to make sure that the salsa kind of like grips onto the chicken, and then you want to finish it off with some cilantro and then set that aside. Next thing we're going to do is just grab a saucepan and throw in our remaining salsa, and we're going to cook that down. Once again, the waters are going to release from the tomato and the ketchup. You want to cook that down until when you run your rubber spatula through the sauce, it kind of like leaves some space apart. Now for the creme de la creme, the pizza dough. Alright, so this recipe will make about 2 pizzas. What you're going to do is, in a bowl, pour 1.5 cups of lukewarm water and add 2 teaspoons of yeast. Whisk that in nicely until the yeast itself dissolves, and then you want to set that aside for about 20 minutes until the yeast activates. Once the 20 minutes are done, what you're going to do is grab a large bowl and add about 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Add 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3 teaspoons of salt, and then whisk that all in together nicely. Pour in the activated yeast into the flour, and then add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And now you're going to want to get in there and knead that all together with your hands. Don't be afraid to get dirty. So you're going to keep kneading it until it forms into the shape of a ball. You want to make sure everything is, well put together, covered with a little bit of oil. And then what we're going to do is take the dough and then just pull the dough back, as you can see over here. What this is going to do is just give us that perfect round shape, pinch it at the bottom, set it down, and then just cover it up and put it aside to rest for a few hours until the dough doubles in size. After the dough has rested, what we're going to do is just split it into 2 so that we can make 2 different dough balls. You might see 3 over here. That's because I have to make one tiny little pizza, but Pretend it's 2. And then once again, what we're going to do is pull the dough back and then just form it into the shape of a ball. And then just pinch it at the bottom and then just set it aside on a lightly dusted surface. And do the same for the second one. And then we're going to cover it and we're going to let it rest once again. What this is going to do is just make it a little bit easier for us to work with the dough once it's been rested. So once it's rested for about 15 minutes or so, we're going to get ready to roll it out. The first thing you're going to do is just press it down just so that you can make it into the shape of the circle. Just like that, get into the shape that you want and then just grab a rolling pin and then just roll it out. You want to make sure it's nicely dusted. Look at that, it's starting to look like a pizza dough. And then if you can, tossy toss with your hand. You know, this is the part where you try out your pizza skills. Alright, so the next step is super crucial. Because I'm cooking my pizza on a pizza stone, what I did is I took a backside of a pizza pan, dusted it heavily with flour, and then just laid the dough on top. You want to make sure it extends past the circle because 1, it's going to shrink, and 2, we're going to stuff this bad boy with cheese. You don't want to make the same mistake I did over here, which is I took it off the pan because, you know, that was a really bad idea, and you're about to see why. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is just put a ring of cheese around our pizza dough. You might be thinking, this does not look like a circle. And that's where I say, you know what, this is a rustic pizza, it doesn't need to be a circle. So what we're going to do is just tuck it in one by one, kind of like how you do to an actual pie. And then just do it all around. And then this is the part where I realized I should have done it on the baking pan, because it's going to be really tough to move that onto an actual baking pan because I need to slide it onto the pizza stone. Think ahead, people. Don't be like me. Think ahead. Voila. See, it looks kind of like a circle now. You know, tuck it in if any of the cheese pieces kind of come out. Make sure it's nicely done. And then now we're going to move on to saucing our pizza. You're going to take the salsa that we made and then just spread it all around nicely. I like to get a little bit on the crust itself because it kind of gives it that nice rustic feel. And then just add your chicken in there. I like a lot of meat, so you know, I kind of might have gone a little bit over, but it's worth it. And then you're just going to sprinkle on some of your peppers, just like that. And then this is where you let your cheesy side go wild and just put on as much as you want. I like things cheesy, what can I say? And then now just to make it a little bit pretty, what we're going to do is just top it up with some of those onion rings that we had cut. And then we're just going to slide it onto our pizza stone over 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And it'll look just like that. A beautiful pizza pie. Yeah, that's a good looking pizza right there. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this recipe and I'll see you next time.